What perfectly true story of yours sounds like an outrageous lie? Just up the street from my apartment in San Francisco, there was one of those fast food restaurants that was either a KFC or a Taco Bell, depending on the angle from which it was viewed. The establishment was a frequent stopping point for students coming from the nearby college, and those students were a frequent target for a remarkably bright crow. Now, on most days, the bird in question would just hang around the restaurant, as well as other ones nearby, and scavenge for scraps. Every once in a while, though, I saw this happen twice, and had it happen to me once, it would enact a much more complex scheme than simply going through the gutter. The crow had apparently discovered that money could be exchanged for food, so it would wait until it saw a likely mark, squawk at them to get their attention, then pick up and drop a coin. Anyone who responded would witness the bird hopping a few feet away, then following its victim toward the source of its next snack. When the crow approached me, it dropped a nickel on the ground. I stooped, picked up the coin, and then jumped slightly when the bird made a noise that sounded not unlike taco. Needless to say, I bought that crow a taco. The final out-of-pocket cost for me, minus the nickel, was something like $1.15. Even so, I figured a bird that smart deserved a reward simply for existing. Of course, that was probably exactly what I was supposed to think. TLDR, a crow paid me 5 cents to buy it a taco. I almost choked to death trying to warm up a frog I had picked up. It was early spring and I found a small frog moving slowly along my parents' pond. I picked it up and cupped it in my hands and held it up in my hands to breathe warm air on it, and it jumped into my mouth. It lodged in my throat and I could feel it struggling as I hawked it up. One time, someone accidentally shipped me $20,000 worth of boa constrictors. That was a very surprising day lol. Edit, since so many people are asking, I figured I'd tell the story. I did buy a single boa, worth way less than $20,000, from this breeder, but he mixed up the shipping label with that of a gentleman who purchased a high-end breeding colony. There were 11 designer boas in the box, and they all made it safely to their intended recipient in the end. Now the boa I bought was almost killed by an idiot FedEx driver during the mix-up, but that's a different story. That's a lot of snack. My grandfather brought a sword to the office and tried to behead my dad for a poor quarterly performance. Family businesses are tough. My grandfather has Alzheimer's dementia. Not sure, Asian family in Asia. Everyone denies mental issues. And before that incident, our family didn't know he was unraveling. Edit, yeah, this story is so incredible that the whole family was in a dilemma about what to say to the doctors, lawyers, bankers, etc. when they needed to declare my grandfather was mentally unfit to make his own decisions. My dad was going, what do I tell them? My dad tried to kill me? With a sword? Who's going to believe this? I mean, even my dad thought the calls he got from his employees were part of a prank. Went to the office, got stopped by the freaked out security guards asking him what they should do, and finally realized it was for real. Everyone just hid and waited it out until my grandfather got tired of waiting and went home. It even took a few more crazy incidents before the entire family believed my dad. Most of his siblings thought it was an elaborate ploy to take over the company for the longest time, and it nearly turned into a crazy court case. Moving interstate, all our belongings on the little trailer. Pulled over the side of the road so my significant other could pee. Too close to the side of the road, and the trailer slid down a small ditch. Not enough to wreck the car but too steep for our little car to pull out. Next thing you know, a white minibus pulls up, and out jumps a half dozen guys who were a weightlifting team from I think Argentina. It was 25 years ago, not sure now. They lifted our trailer up onto the road, climbed back in their van, and drove off. Hut 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 hut. Came home late one night to find David Bowie laying on my bed watching Mary Tyler Moore on my small black and white TV. Owned an after hours club in New York City, and my boyfriend met him and brought him home to hang out. A friend of mine told me about how he went to KFC and they ran out of chicken. The church around the corner was flooded and the guy in the back was like, Did KFC run out of chicken again? Like this happens on some sort of regular basis. My dad tried to smuggle a diamond out of Sierra Leone, but the guys helping him get it through customs ran off with the diamond. Edit. Wow, I didn't expect to get this kinda response. Here's the full story for those who want to know. So my dad was working for a company that works in mining in Africa. He went out to inspect how the Sierra Leone operation was running. While over there he bought a diamond off a local chief who worked with the company. He bought it for much lower than its actual worth, so decided not to declare at customs and try and smuggle it through. People at the company told him what to do: pay off one guard and give them the diamond. He would then meet another guard with the diamond beyond all the checks. The second guard never showed, and that's the story. Where is the diamond? Taylor Swift pushed me out of a swing when I was in 3rd grade. I used to go over to my neighbor's house to play just about every afternoon. He had an older sister and she just happened to be friends with the then unpopular Taylor Swift. I went over one day doing typical 1st grader things on the swing set with my neighbor. When they came out, Taylor demanded that we get out and let her swing. Rebel me said no, and she said, "Fine then, I'll push you." The next thing I know, I had a skinned up knee and a mouthful of dirt. I ended up going to the same middle school and high school as her and always heard about how great she is. To me, she'll always be that bitch that pushed me out of a swing. TLDR, I refused to give up my swing to Taylor Swift, so she shoved me out. I played 11 degrees of random internet separation and wound up at myself. I was working on my GeoCities website in 1998 on campus at UT Austin. I was looking for design ideas to poach HTML code from a friend's website, but he didn't have anything I didn't. So I went to his list of 20 plus friends, picked a random one, and looked at that guy's page for design ideas. Then I thought, I wonder where in the world I'd end up if I did friend of a friend 10 times like that. New York? China? ISS? So I did. Went to that guy's friends list, picked a random one, went to that person's friends list, and so on. The 10th person was an employee of UT, so I didn't even make it off campus, let alone to another country. But he had a webcam in his office, one of those that refreshed an image every 30 seconds. The lights were off, there were open mini blinds, but I couldn't really see much beyond them. Then I noticed that he listed his office number, FAC 222. Floor Academic Center, 2nd floor, room 222. I realized that I was doing all of this from a computer on the 2nd floor of Floor Academic Center. I looked up to see that the computer I was on was at the end of an aisle directly across from room 222. I went to the window. Open mini blinds, lights off, webcam on top of his monitor. I go back to my computer to see my own face in the webcam image peeking in his window. My mom was pissing me off and being nasty and childish to my stepdad. I was in the field with my horse later and she came in and I whispered, "Give her hell." He promptly went up to her and bit her. And then again. He kept being super menacing to her, following her around with his ears flat against his head, etc. Even though usually he was the most laid back animal ever. Eventually I went over to him, patted him and said, "Leave it," and he stopped. A year or so later he kicked the ever-living shit out of a pony who slammed into me in the field and knocked me over. I was fine, just covered in mud, but once again he didn't stop menacing this pony until I went up to him and said, "That's enough now, stop." Even typing that sounds like total BS, but I swear it's totally true. Edit, the horse was doing the biting menacing, not my stepdad. My rabbit jumped over our cat once. He used to get out all the time, so eventually we just let him roam free. He wasn't afraid of the cat, so the cat left him alone, thinking he was a freak of nature that smelled like a rabbit and looked like a rabbit but wasn't. One day the cat decided, what the hell, that must be a rabbit, so he goes in for the pounce. Rabbit sails straight over his head and nonchalantly goes back to eating grass. The cat checked to see if anyone was looking, then slunk away in shame. One time as I was leaving the mall, I balled up a piece of paper and flicked it at the trash can and hit a fly in midair.